Al Robertson from Duck Dynasty and Duck Commander. I want to tell you about a great book called War on Fear from my good buddy, John Morgan. Of course, he looks like George W. Bush, who had the famous War on Terror, so I immediately knew, there was a nice a bit of wordplay there. This book is fantastic. I think it speaks to sort of that natural fear that all of us have, whether it's public speaking or whether it's the first time you get asked to do something you've never done before, up to, the fear of loss of life, of a sick person in your family, all the things that we face every single day. I recommend this highly. I promise you will be blessed when you read this book, and it's the sort of book that after you read it, you're going to want to pass it on to someone else, which to me are the best kind of books. So War on Fear, get yours as soon as you can.
I'm the free world leader. Freedom's rolling out to you. Oh, let's roll. Well, I'm the good news instigator, compassionate conversator.
Hi, Karen.
This freedom is rocking and rolling on out to you. White and blue.
Oh, welcome to the John Morgan Show. It is a joy. It is a privilege. It is an honor. It is a downright great time to get a chance to spend a few minutes with you every day, weekday, and week out. What a privilege. The privilege of communication. Beth Goff, good to see you. Karen Sue Bailey Vance. Mark Roberts, my cuz, and PK in the house. I love it that it shows me who's all on there. It's just so much fun. Oh, man. Good to see everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, turning on, and hanging out with John Morgan, with myself on Tuesday afternoon. And it is such an honor to be here with you. Yesterday, I was dead to this world. I was so exhausted. We got up at 4 a.m. and we had to drive to Denver from Colorado Springs, and had beautiful sunrise as we drove along, and then flew to Atlanta where we had a 5-hour layover. I know more about the Atlanta airport than I ever want to know. And that's where I did the show with you yesterday was the Atlanta airport, right by the Spirit counter. And then we took our Frontier Airlines flight home. Frontier Airlines has done something interesting. Either it was always this way or they changed all their seats. But the thing that I often complained about Frontier Airlines and Spirit Airlines as well is that their seats don't recline. But on the trip out to Colorado and back, it seems as though they have replaced their seats with seats that are in the reclining position. So they don't sit up, but they're reclining a little bit, and it's a lot more comfortable. And either they were always that way and I just never noticed, or they've replaced their seats on at least the planes that I was on, my wife and I, Kathy, my beautiful bride. And happy Father's Day to those of you that enjoyed a Father's Day over the weekend. And a lot of moms celebrated dads, and a lot of kids celebrated their pops. And I had the honor of celebrating it out in Colorado Springs with my son Stephen, my son Jonathan, and his family. And my son Daniel is on his way over, and he and I are going to go spend a little time together as soon as the show is over. In fact, he'll probably arrive while I'm taping the show right here. And my son Christopher, bless his sweetheart, I love him with all my heart, he sent me a new game that I cannot wait to try out. I love games, and Kathy and I get together with friends and we play Settlers of Catan. Are there any Settlers of Catan fans out there? Give me a heart and let me know if you've ever played Settlers of Catan. We like to call it Settlers of Satan. It's spelled C-A-T-A-N. Well, if the C was a soft C, it would be Satan. And it's kind of funny because the game pulls out the worst in your character. It's very competitive, and you have to. Yeah, somebody likes it out there, and you have to be mean to each other. I mean, it's an offensive and defensive kind of a strategy, and so the object obviously is to win. In order for you to win, you have to make sure everyone else loses. And there's different ways you can play. Some people play, they're very merciful and kind, and they don't tend to win as often. But it's just a game, folks. So when it's over, you're all still friends and you can make up. But I've seen some serious anger around the Catan table. Oh, yes, I have. And I've been guilty of some of it. Probably more than my share. I wanted to share a story with you today to illustrate a point. So I'll share the story, and then I'll illustrate the point. When I was a new believer, I grew up Catholic, but as a Catholic, I never got to know God. I learned a lot about him, but I was kind of left with an opinion that he's an angry, white-haired old man that's got an anvil just ready to drop on me, when he catches me. So I avoided him like the plague. And then I found out later that he's very, very kind, that his nature is to forgive, and that his desire is to restore and to be reconciled to his children. But as any father would, he punishes the wicked, he punishes his children, and but his goal is to bring people back to him, to have sweet, sweet fellowship. So anyway, I was 18 years old. I was a brand new baby, born again believer, full of joy and excitement, and I had been a really, really bad driver, and so around the time when I got saved, my driver's license had been suspended, and I'd been catching rides as I could to church, and so it was a 6-month suspension, and so the first week that I got my license back, I was so excited to drive my 1972 Chevy Nova to church, and I got in, and we're some friends and had already talked. We talked on the phone. We're going to meet at church, have a good time, go to church, then go out for ice cream at East India Ice Cream after church. That was our hangout. I don't know if any of you remember East India Ice Cream. It was upstairs at the Colony Theater in Winter Park, downtown Winter Park on Park Avenue, and that's where we would hang out after church. We were at Calvary Assembly was where we went to church. So anyway, I got into my car and I started driving, and I realized that it was, out of gas. Now, it was still running, but that needle was slam against the empty side. I did not know if I would make it to church, but one thing I knew for sure, the very next thing I needed to do after church was get gas. So I found out later during the service, because somebody had said, hey, we're going to go to East India. I checked my wallet, and I had no money. And I was standing in the parking lot with some friends, and Calvary Assembly is a big church, a large parking lot. And I pulled out my wallet, realized I didn't have money for ice cream, and of course, at the same moment, realized also that I did not have money for gasoline. This was 1975. Just when this predicament hit me, and I became aware that I had a conundrum, a problem, I noticed a car way on the other side, like not past the parking lot I was in, way on the other side of the next parking lot. I noticed a car. For some reason, out of all the cars of people leaving the church, this car caught my eye. I don't know why. Like I had a halo around it or something. I didn't see a halo, but for some reason, its attention was drawn to me. So, am I? I don't look like I'm on the screen. Am I on the screen, everybody? Let me know. All of a sudden, I'm in the corner. Am I even on the screen, everybody? Okay, I guess I am, but suddenly my picture, okay, thank you. Suddenly, Carol, good to see you. Suddenly my picture got really tiny on my computer. so I don't know why. Okay, thanks, Mark. Well, okay, so I'll finish the story. So I'm watching this car. Don't remember what kind of car it was at this point. All these years later, don't remember. But I watched this car drive through that other parking lot, and he came across, and he went out of that parking lot, drove over into our parking lot, and came into our parking lot, drove straight up to me, okay? Did not know this man, stepped out of his car with a $5 bill in his hand. I swear to you, this is the absolute truth. He said, "The Lord told me to give this to you." Can you believe it? I mean, crazy. And I'm telling you, as a new believer, to have something like that happen, it was miraculous, because most people don't know that God speaks. They don't know that you can hear him, that they don't know that you can converse with him. They don't know that he speaks back and that he will instruct you and use you and have this awesome relationship with you in other people's lives. And so, I was so excited, because not only did I have, in 1975, you could buy half a tank of gas on $3, or something like it, at least enough. So I had enough money for ice cream and the gasoline. And I was just blown away, just flabbergasted, because it happened right after I realized that I didn't have any money in my wallet. He probably had gotten the word from the Lord before I even looked at my wallet and realized it was empty. So what a cool story. There's a point to this. How many of you have had those little nudges in your mind that you think might be God telling you to do something, and by habit, you dismiss them? By habit, you let them pass in one ear and out the other. That was my habit for years. I would get these little suggestions, little thoughts, and they would just fly away like butterflies. I would not capture them. I would not savor them. I would not presume that it was a communication from heaven. I would just think it's me. And sometimes it would be a nudge to share my faith with someone, and immediately fear would snatch it away. Well, here's what I want to share with you today, and I have a song to go with it. You are vital. You are a masterpiece. You are ecclesia, God breathed. And I want you to know how special you are. God took great care when he created you. In Psalm 139, it says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." And not only does he know you, but he loves you. God is perfect, unbridled, passionate, fiery love. And all of that love is focused right on you. He wants you to know how deeply he loves you, but he also wants you to know that he wants to partner with you for the good of others. He wants you and him together to go out and do adventures. And I've had so much fun in my life hearing him randomly speak. One night I was in my house, and I got one of those nudges. Now, I kid you not. Okay, this was many years ago. But what I heard and it's not audible, it's not audible. I don't know where it hits, but it hits somewhere. You hear it, but not audibly. You hear it in your, like when you think out loud, when you think to yourself, you hear your own thoughts, but it's not really hearing, but it is. I don't know how to describe it, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Dale, my buddy, how did your therapy go? Good to see you, my friend. My friend Dale Lee, America's awesome Bill Clinton impersonator, is on the show, and I couldn't be more excited. Dale, you were with me in one of these occasions, but on this particular one, I was hearing God say, get in your car. I have somebody for you to talk to. It was just that. And I got so excited. I felt like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. And I told Kathy, I said, God told me to get in my car and he'd show me where to go. Well, I got in my car and I just started driving, and I was praying along the way that God would give me boldness. And I drove quite a long way, like halfway to Disney World. And I pulled into this place where I felt led to pull in. I was guided. It was so cool. And there was a car in the parking lot. And it was, again, I was drawn to this specific car. I can't tell you how, but I just knew this was the car. Just like the other story where that car was on the other side of the parking lot, and I, for some reason, was attracted to it and watched it, and the guy pulled right up to me. So in this instance, I knew that this was the car, and that whoever was in the car was my target, right? My love target. So I pulled up next to the car, and I rolled down my driver's window and motioned to the guy, and he rolled down his window. And I just looked over to him and I said, this is going to sound strange, but do you need to talk? And he just said, get in. So I got out of my car and got in his car, and he poured out his heart. He was sitting in his car weighing whether or not he should leave his family, abandon his wife and children. He had been counseled to do so. And I was able to share with him, to pray with him, to help him. And he went back home to his family. And 5 years later, I ran into him again. His name was Mark. I don't remember his last name. He was still with his family. And friend, that's the partnership that God has for us. It's and I know I'm only scratching the surface of what it could be. I'm just kind of working at it. But it's there, and he wants. See, this life, guess what? It's not about our little Craig Marlette. Now, there's a man that's got some stories. Craig Marlette. Craig, I need to have you as a guest on the show to share some of your stories, of prison ministry and divine appointments and things that you've had the privilege of experiencing. Oh, man, how great would that be? Well, we tend to think in terms of what pleases us. And I encourage you that that's a good thing, that that's the way we were designed. We are designed to seek our own pleasure. Where we miss it is in identifying where that pleasure is to be found. Because the greatest pleasure you will ever know is the pleasure of adventuring with Papa God, with your brother, Jesus Christ. He made us. I mean, he invented the greatest things that this world has came from him. The devil, he's a counterfeiter. He takes the good things God created and distorts them and perverts them and gives us alternatives that are not the original design. But if we want to function well, you car buffs out there, you know that you got to tune that car, that you've got to have the right fuel, the right mix, the right oil. And then when that thing is tuned just right, man, it purrs like a kitten or roars like a lion, depending on how it's set. And if we follow the Bible, our life is going to purr like a lion or roar like a cat. All right, let me play this song. It's called Especially You. Do you ever feel you're alone in this world, like nobody needs you at all? Do you ever find, since you found your new life, you're feeling empty and small? He never waited for others to come to him. He just poured out his life anyway. He never said that it would be easy, but he did it first to show us the way. Especially you. Well, the Lord has a purpose that no one can do, just you. And if you don't do it, then it won't get done, especially you. Well, you can't be replaced. You're not just anyone, you're special. Just lend a hand, and you can lead a band of lost and lonely men, not lonely no more. Well, I used to feel the way you might be feeling right now, totally worthless and scared. Then I got a hold of a scripture or two that showed me how much Jesus cared. Well, he never waited for others to come to him. He just poured out his life anyway. He never said that it would be easy, but he did it first to show us the way. Especially you. The Lord has a purpose that no one can do, just you, you, you. And if you don't do it, honey, it ain't never gonna get done, especially you. Well, you can't be replaced. You're not just anyone, you're special. Just lend a hand, and you can lead a band of lost and lonely men, not lonely no more. Lost and lonely men, not lonely no more, especially you. Especially you, friend. Oh, yeah. God's got great plans for you, my friends. And it doesn't matter if you're 10 or 110. It ain't over until you're at the pearly gates. Thanks for watching today. I love you. I like you. I appreciate you. And I'm so glad that you're in my life. Have a wonderful day, wonderful dinner, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Well, I'm the free world leader. Freedom's rolling out to you. Oh, let's roll. Well, I'm the good news instigator, compassionate conversator. This freedom is rocking and rolling on after you. White and blue.
I can't find the finish button.